right, welcome to Primos for Life, the wrestling podcast made for the fans, by the fans. Como siempre, yo soy Eddie, el niño vaque. We got Ariel, the Ecuadorian dream bisueta, and we are your self-proclaimed, undisputed co-host tag team champions of the world. And in tonight's episode, we sit down with the British powerhouse whose career spans over 2 decades, from dominating UK rings to capturing gold in NXT. He's battled some of the best in the world and is still going strong. Strong style, that is. That's right, we have a chat with Danny Briggs. So, como siempre, sit back, grab a snack, and let's get it on! What's going on, Primo?
What's up, dude? What's going on with you? How are you?
Good, man. Chilling, you know. Happy to be here. Happy to see you, and happy to be seen, you know?
Yeah, I mean, it's always a pleasure when we get to do this. You know, we always say it's a great time when we get to see each other. Not just because we're generally happy to see each other, but we get to talk a little wrestling, open up about some stuff, and just, you know, have a grand old time, which is, I think, what we're going to try and do again tonight.
Exactly. Yeah, man. So, what do we got going on tonight?
Well, it's funny you should mention that because usually I'm the one that's kind of walking in, you know, blindly and not knowing what's happening. But tonight's going to be a little different because I'm actually in the know today. So, today is one of our favorite things to do around here, and that is have an interview with a wrestling superstar.
Yes.
And I use the word superstar because this man has been around for quite some time, you know, with over 20 years in the game. So I think, you know, we should just get right into it because the story that this superstar has to tell is very unique and very amazing, you know. So I think without any further ado, we should just kind of get to it if it works for you.
Yeah, man. I'm with it. I'm down. Let's get it.
All right. Fantastic. All right. Well, in tonight's episode, you know, we welcome someone who's traveled throughout the globe, who's wrestled for some of the biggest promotions in the world, and still brings some of that East London grit to all of his matches.
London.
From NXT Tag Team Champion to current CCW standout star. Primos and Primas, please help us in welcoming the very talented, the very cool Mr. Danny Briggs.
What? Let's go.
I figured you'd like that one.
There we go. Finally. Fuck me.
Yeah.
How you doing?
We're
Welcome
in.
in. Welcome
There we
in.
go.
Danny.
Sorry
Danny?
about
How
that.
you
I am
doing?
useless with technology and yeah. So
That makes 2 of us. Don't worry about it. Because I was talking to Eddie and I told Eddie, he's like, do you know? And I'm
There we
like, I have
go.
no idea what's happening. Welcome in, Danny.
Sorry
Thank you
about
so
that,
much.
lads.
Don't worry
you're
about
good.
it, please.
You
Thank
are-
you for coming on the show, man. We're
Thank
excited.
you for having me.
Yes.
I really appreciate it.
Oh, no. The pleasure's all on this side of the screen. Trust. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Someone of your
Thank you.
stature and who's been around the industry as long as you have to be able to give us a little bit of your time. You know, we know how important and valuable that is to you. So from the, you know, wholehearted, you know, thank you for joining us tonight.
Much
And,
appreciated.
you know, making
gents.
it work because we know there was a couple problems and
Oh
things
yeah,
like
well,
that. So
all on my
I'm glad
end,
we were
so
able
we're
to-
good. So
I'm glad we were able to figure everything out and that you're with us. We truly appreciate your time. So
awesome.
we don't want to try and take too much of it, but
No, you
we
can take
just-
as long
we
as you
gotta-
want. Don't mind at all.
Perfect. We want to introduce our listeners to Danny Briggs and who you are and what you do, and kind of also because one of the things Eddie and I always like to say is we like to take people behind the curtain and show that, you know, this is in this industry there are, you know, the people that work and who are there hard and who do things properly and know the game and do jobs properly, because it's always, you know, there's always people like that in every job. There's the people who do things to the upper extent that they can and, you know, people who don't. So we like to shed light on those who do and to show people that this is truly a craft, and having someone of your stature on, I think, is going to help bring that home. So this is going to be fantastic.
I appreciate that. Thank you.
Yeah, Danny, you're the man, baby. No, I was telling Ariel, like it's been fantastic, like watching you, especially recently, right? Since I'm locally, you know, in Florida, and I'm able to go to these CCW shows and the matches that you put on, man. I mean, you since day one, I'm like, Danny's my boy. I'm always gonna
Nice.
root for you. I'm always
Thank
gonna
you, man.
support you, bro,
Thank you
because
so
you're
much.
fantastic in the ring, like all the things that you do. It's such high level. It's incredible. And I told Ariel, I was like, we got to get Danny on the show. We got to get him. We got to have a good time with him, get his story, let our primos, which we call our listeners, our primos,
Primos.
you know, learn
Okay.
more about you, get to know you, and then just really have a good time with it, man. But
But
Sounds like a
usually
plan.
we start off with like a staple question. Ariel usually takes the ball on this one. But before
Right.
we jump in, I have a side question, right?
Go on in.
Curveball already. Look at Danny.
Look
You
at
gotta be
that,
careful.
look at
'cause
that.
Eddie
There we
likes to
go.
do this. Like, sneak stuff in.
Yeah. So, Danny, obviously you're from London, right?
Yes.
And I got to know, man.
You're going to
who-
ask my football team, aren't you? Ah.
Yeah, I got to
You
know,
knew
man.
it.
I got to
You knew
know.
it.
I got to know.
You knew it.
Because I bet
knew it.
his is going to be either Arsenal, Tottenham, or Manchester United.
Yeah. Well,
No,
okay.
I mean,
To be
I
fair,
am an
to be
boy, so I have been forever blowing bubbles my entire life. So I am West Ham United through and through, son.
West Ham- I mean, West Ham is solid, though.
West Ham. Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Well, I'm a Chelsea fan over here. So
Yeah.
I'm just going to leave now. Yeah.
Hey,
We good? Yeah.
Hey,
No,
man,
I'm
come
kidding,
on.
I'm
You gotta
kidding.
cut me some slack, man. My father grew up.
I'm
My father's
kidding,
a
I'm
Chelsea
kidding.
fan, so when I came up, that's
No,
what he
I'm
did. That's
kidding.
on me, man. I'm sorry.
No, I'm kidding. I'm
Yeah,
kidding.
and then for me, I mean, at least you for the better part of the decade, you being a Ham United fan, you picked the better United team because I am a Manchester United fan, and we've had terrible seasons the last
Danny
10,
knows. Danny knows.
15 years,
Danny
man.
knows.
It's like atrocious. But I mean, but real quick, it all started because obviously, so Ariel and I we're Ecuadorian
Okay.
with descent, right? So when I first started watching the Premier League, it was during the time when Rooney and Antonio Valencia,
Yeah.
those guys were on the squad, and Antonio is one of
That
the
makes me old
highly
now.
praised
Oh,
Ecuadorians.
God.
So
Thanks.
yeah, man.
No, I'm kidding.
That's no. Hey, man.
Hey, I mean, but again, players like Rooney come along once in a lifetime. So,
Right.
Yeah.
as much
Yeah.
as he didn't play for West Ham, I can't fault his skills at all.
I mean,
Yeah.
legendary
Questionable
talent is
choices
still legendary
Off
talent.
the pitch,
Yeah.
but so
Yeah.
I mean, who
that's,
doesn't have some of those?
that's most, that's most of them, yeah.
All right, well, Danny, let's get into it because I know you're a busy man and we don't want to take up too much of your time. So our staple question that we kind of start off with is, in terms of you growing up, what is your first memory of wrestling? Watching it, seeing it, like because I always tell Eddie, and I've told our fans this numerous times. My first memory of wrestling is watching it with my grandfather, watching Lucha Libre on Univision, on in the Bronx, on the Spanish channel. Like watching, I was like 4 years old on his lap, and he was watching it. Eddie has the introduction of Kane into the WWE. Like that's what
Oh,
sparked
wow.
him. So
Okay.
do you recall the moment, a specific match, or was it just kind of an amalgam of things that you saw growing up that brought you to this? Is there
So-
something in particular, or
My cousin raised me as a very, very young kid. My mum and dad got divorced when I was very young. Just deadbeat scumbag is the best way of saying that. And my cousin raised me.
Yeah.
And my earliest memories of professional wrestling were sitting on my grandma's couch with my cousin. I must have been 7, 8, watching Wrestling Challenge, Wrestling Superstars,
wrestling
and then
superstars?
so it was, and so the syndicated package that we used to get back home was on Sky TV. So it would be Wrestling Challenge, Wrestling Superstars, and then NWA with WCW mixed into it. So you'd get like matches from the mid 80s on NWA, and then it would jump forward to 92, 93 when it was like Sting versus Marcus Bagwell. And
that's a leap.
I still remember it to this day. I remember sitting there watching Wrestling Challenge and being enthralled by these larger than life characters. And then I remember my cousin and 4 of his friends ordered pizza. And because it was the very first pay-per-view that the UK got, we ended up watching WrestleMania 5. So I watched Hulk Hogan versus Macho Man Randy Savage when the Mega Powers exploded.
Mega Powers explode. Yes.
Wow.
So those are
man.
my earliest memories of pro wrestling. And just, from Big Boss Man to Nails, I remember sitting there watching Undertaker's debut at Survivor Series when he came out with Brother Love. The whole time period was magic. I got away from wrestling for a little bit. Kind of stopped watching at WrestleMania 9 when I think it was when Brett lost to Yoko, and then Hogan came out and then beat Yoko for the title, if I
And then
remember
beat
correctly.
Yoko and took her, yeah.
And then it wasn't until I hope this name doesn't trigger people, but it wasn't until I got to watch Chris Benoit versus Eddie Guerrero when the Radicals split. That particular match on Raw, that made me want to become a professional wrestler.
Wow. So that's the one that was like, I want to do this. Like, this is something that I want to be a part of.
I watched that, and the way Chris made me feel that time was, I thought wrestling was fake. I thought it was all, just there was just the crispness to his work, his intensity. Take away everything that eventually happened. Unfortunately,
right.
Everything I saw in that ring at that point in time,
from the artist.
Everything I saw in that ring at that time, I was like, okay, I need to do this, because there is a lot more to this than what I've known.
Right, and what you've seen on the screen.
Yeah. So that was 2001, I believe. I think that was around 2001 when that match happened. Up to that point, I'd been.
So you took a good break. You took like a good 10, 15 year break, because. Oh wait, no, because you said you started in
at
85.
That point in time, so I got into. I'd been boxing from when I was 5 up until the age of when I was 16, 17. I started training in pancrase, which was very much like the first form of mixed martial arts. I had the privilege of training with Bas Rutten.
Oh wow!
Started competing in that. I'd always done kickboxing and Thai boxing and stuff like that. So I thought that was the way I was going to go.
Oh.
But then very quickly after, 4 fights in mixed martial arts, when it was very archaic compared to what the UFC is now, I realized.
Right. There's a lot more rules and regulations and procedures in place.
Punched and elbowed in the face for $50, because that's, it was very sparse, and then friends of mine got me back into wrestling. And, I was like, I don't know, this isn't real, like what I'll do is, and I got back into it and I saw that match and I was like, I thought this was fake. And that's what got me back into it, So lo and behold, what's funny is through all the years of combat sports that I've done, I've been hurt way more in the professional wrestling. So, for someone that's been on both sides of the fence, that's why I hate the term fake. I absolutely hate the term fake. After
that's something that Eddie and I abhor also when we talk to people.
After 8 surgeries and multiple concussions, I can assure you it's definitely not fake, which we can get back into, because that all of my later shoulder stuff that went on was later into my career. So, but we can get into that later. So
yeah. I mean, just to comment on the whole Chris Benoit thing, like, you're right. I mean, I'm there with you, right? Because kind of like what Ariel said earlier, you do have to kind of separate the artist from the person and everything that happened.
Separate the art from the artist.
Right. And separate that, obviously, with what happened later on in life. But you're right. I mean, watching Benoit in the ring during his WCW days, New Japan days, and even when he came to WWE, the guy,
technically
in the ring,
technically he was a master. Technically, he was a master.
For me, it was heartbreaking because literally maybe 2 weeks before he won the world title, I actually had the chance to train with him. I actually got the chance to get in the ring with him. And, he told me some very nice stuff, like, hey, kid, keep going, because you're going to be really good. You're going to hit a lot of roadblocks and it's going to suck, but just keep going. And so for me, it stings a lot, and it still does to this day. It still does to this day, because someone that I
absolutely
so high up on a pedestal, and they always say, never meet your heroes because you're going to be let down and disappointed. I wasn't. I had the chance to train, and for whatever reason, I know they say CTE or whatever it was. No one is ever going to know, and it's, for me, it's heartbreaking when people say, well, he's never going to be in the Hall of Fame. His whole career is tarnished. His only legacy is going to be the fact that he murdered his wife and his son. And it's awful. For me, it's awful.
Yeah.
I'm sure there's many of his very, very closest friends that probably feel the same. Some probably don't. And they're just like, nope, he did it. That's it. Done. Which I completely understand. I didn't get the chance to become friends with him. I just got the chance to train and learn from the guy that inspired me to lace up a pair of boots. So for that, I will forever be thankful. But obviously, it doesn't end in a heartfelt, happy ending, you know?
Happy ending, yeah.
Right. Wow. Okay, so Danny, so question for you then. So growing up in East London, right?
Yep.
Your overall environment, how did that shape your wrestling style, your toughness, your persona? I mean, is that something that you leaned into? Did you want to try like, different types of characters, or this was the route that you ultimately wanted to take and be truly you?
So when I first started training, I trained with Tony Scarlo, who was the British light heavyweight champion of the world. So if you go back and look into the like stuff on YouTube on the old world of, I hate calling it world of sport because it's not world of sport. That was something that it got marketed as, but he was a very old school British wrestler. And I trained with him and his son, Dino Scarlo. And pretty much it was, we just learned how to wrestle. We learned how to wrestle, we learned how to work, we learned tons of different British wrestling sequences, and then we learned how to put it together, and then we learned how to put our own spin on it and everything like that. So as such, gimmicks and characters wasn't really talked about. But I was kind of fortunate that people just gravitated towards me. It was, be it, I would come in, when I started working actively, it was always I'd be brought in as a heel, but give it a couple of months, 4 or 5 months, people just couldn't help but want to cheer for me. So I don't know if I've got one of those faces that people like. I don't know. It was just one of those. It was just one of those things. I guess because people, I guess they saw me as one of their own, which is one of the highest compliments you can get as a Brit. When somebody, he's one of our own. That's,
you're an everyman, is what you are. You're an everyman.
People, for whatever reason, that just happened. Maybe against my better judgment, I never looked into a gimmick. Because I was always of the school of thought, well, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. Right. So I just, I was just like, okay, I'm just going to turn up. I'm going to have great matches and just go from there. I was a complete unknown in England. And then it wasn't until 2004, 2005. I think it was 2004. It was probably 2004. I got a call from my local, my home promotion. I'd only really just started working for them. And they said, hey, we've got a match for you. We want to know if you're available. And I was like, well, what's the date? Of course I'm available. And they went, it's going to be you versus Samoa Joe. Nice. And that was when Joe was on his X Division run, undefeated. So very, very kindly, Joe said it would be a time limit draw. And that was the match that put me on the map. I went toe-to-toe with Joe in one of the most, I can still remember that. I can still remember that match to this day. Joe did a lot for me that day. And I've worked him since. I've worked alongside him since. I've been in the same company as him since. And so it was always great to be able to say thank you for that. So when that match happened, I was off to the races. I was exceptionally lucky that I fell into a match where I had a guy that liked to throw a bit of leather. I also like to throw a bit of leather. And the stars aligned on that day for me, so I can't thank Joe enough for that. And it was,
that's great. I mean, having that mixed, that martial artist background that you had, like you said, you like to throw. So that had to have been just a very entertaining, like, we're just going to go at each other and take
That's
this
exactly
as
what
far
it was.
as we can.
Yeah.
So
at one point, threw me in the corner, started to light me up. And I'm like, all right, I guess this is where we're going. So then I started lighting him up. And he's like, whoa, brother, here we go.
We're doing this.
Yeah,
all
and
right.
it was just, that was the match where people are like, I'm not going to boo this guy because I just want to see him kick the fuck out of people. Sorry,
respect, because respect is real.
So but for me, it's like those matches where you blur the line as when people think, is it real or there's this fake? It doesn't mean that you're going in there and killing each other, but there's just an artwork to making wrestling look like that. And then as I got further into training and stuff like that, I then started watching Fit Finlay and guys like Mark Rocco and, Steve, Terry Funk, Steve Austin, Terry Gordy. I started watching like, a lot of stuff from like
Terry
All
Gordy,
Japan in the
wow.
90s. And I'm like,
Yeah.
this isn't wrestling challenge or wrestling superstars, you know? So it's like, there's a way of being able to blend the, you know, the sports entertainment side and the Netflix side and the ESPN side. There's a way of being able to blend that in. But too many people I feel now just are, well, we've pulled the curtain back, so it doesn't matter what our work looks like because they'll let us, you know, it doesn't matter because we all know. My favorite thing to watch are magicians. I absolutely love watching magicians do their stuff. Like when you see the guys that throw cards at the car and it sticks in the window, and it's like, yes, of course it's an illusion, but guess what? I do not want to know how it's done.
That's the thing. It's just so many people who want to know how it's done, and it's like, no, I don't want it to be ruined. I'm like you. I want to watch this and have my mind blown and be like, how? And just leave it
The best
there.
part for me about pro wrestling and what I got wrapped into is the guys that made me go, well, how do you do that? And then you're like, well, there's no, but like just, you know, and then when the selling's on point, when, you know, when everything's firing on point, it's like, well, okay, this is one take because it's live. So this isn't, this isn't like, okay, go back, move this way. And it's live. It's live action. You got one take. So the people that could reel me in with that magic, man, my whole goal is just, you know, my career hasn't gone the way I wanted it to. Definitely hasn't gone the way I wanted it to. But I've been so lucky that at the end of the day, I'm just a kid from England that got the chance to have a tryout for WWE in 2010, and I got signed. Like, all I wanted to do was be able to have one person leave the building and go, yeah, it's all choreographed and everything like that. But that Martin Stone kid, he's way different. Like, there's something different about him. I want one person to leave the building feeling what I felt when I watched Chris Benoit for the first time.
When you watched Benoit,
and I've been very fortunate that I've had a lot of people say to me, man, just you like you're the only one that's real. You're the only one that's, and that to me makes my heart so full. So,
and you do it, and you do a tremendous job. I mean, again, I've seen probably in the last year, probably like 4 or 5 matches of yours, and every single one of them are like bangers. They're incredible. You go in there and you give it your all. You interact with the crowd. I mean, even at the last show, just to you put it out there. I mean, I was, you know, loud and excited, and I was like, Danny, just beat this guy up already. Like, you know, it's light work, and and you talk back. You were just like, it's not that freaking easy. Like, you know,
here's the thing, right? If you guys aren't having fun, then I'm not having fun, and if I'm not having fun, then you guys aren't having fun. And what is the point to having a crowd and just going through the motions of your match? That's not wrestling. Like, yes, we can go and have a wrestling match. And again, wrestling for TV is completely different for working for a house show. Does it mean the match style and the intensity needs to be changed? Absolutely not. Obviously, when you're on TV, you are told, hey, that red dot, that's all you work to. Because, of course, there's millions of people behind that red dot. Whereas you might only have, you know, when it's on the indies, you might only have a few hundred. When you're in arenas, you might have, I don't know, 10,000. I mean, I was very fortunate. Take over 30. It was $1 million gate. So in terms of fan attendance, it had to have been pretty high. So, but unfortunately, it's like, hey, that red dot, that's what matters. The crowd doesn't matter at that point, you know. Which, yes, you have to have TV to sell wrestling. I understand that, but for me, being in front of a very intimate crowd and being able to engage the crowd and, you know, have fun and just, it ain't that bloody easy. Like, just, you know, it's like, that's the magic of wrestling, you know, being able to take the crowd on a roller coaster, being able to make them laugh, cry, shout, boo, scream, like piss their pants, whatever emotion we're trying to get at. That's a professional wrestler, you know.
That's it. I mean, to evoke that, to bring that out of people. I mean, that's
the fun
why
part.
you do
that's
it.
The fun part.
That's why you do it. So to be able to have that happen is going to be amazing. Now, you touched on something that I want to talk about, because you said it. Martin Stone. So if you'd be so kind as to kind of walk me through the evolution, because you've been doing this for so long and you've wrestled under so many names, Stone,
Okay, yeah. So
Danny Burch, Danny Briggs. So what brought you from Stone to, like, was there anything in particular? Did you feel it was time to refresh? Kind of walk us through if you'd be so kind.
Okay, so I broke into the business 22 years ago. It was 22 years July this year. I started because I was so new, I would just turn up and try and get booked for Brian Dixon at All Star Wrestling. So then he would just come up with random names for you, just like, oh, all right, you're going to be that, you're in a Rumble, whatever. Or, hey, I'm here tonight. I've been training with so and so. All right, cool. Well, tonight you are going to be Mark Smith, and you're the opening match. You're wrestling so and so. You got 30 minutes. He's up. So I wasn't established at all then. I was still just trying to cut my teeth. And then it wasn't until I started working for Frontier Wrestling Alliance, which was at the time the biggest wrestling promotion in England, and that was the FWA. And I started off as one of the guys' security guards. It was a bullshit spot, but it was, unfortunately at that time the company didn't really want to make people because they had their crew roster of guys. But then guys that were coming up, they would just kind of throw them a bone and expect us to jump up and down for joy. But it's like, all right, I've got to come out in a suit and I'm going to get super kicked 10 minutes into the match. All right, perfect. But then what ended up happening, one of the guys I did security with, his wrestling name was Sticks. So as you can imagine, the promoters come up with a really good name to go, oh, you can be Sticks and Stones.
Stone.
So they were like, so you're going to be Stones? I went, no, I'm going to be Martin Stone. So I at least got Martin Stone in there, and we were known as Sticks and Stone. Thank God.
That's
wow. But again, that was a really, again, for me, it was great because they literally put the rocket up us. We debuted on one show. I can't forget, my brain is terrible for dates and stuff. But I remember we debuted on one show in Enfield, which is a part of London, and we had a 6-minute squash match. And then the following week in Morecambe, which is up north in England, we ended up winning their tag titles. So they put the rocket on us quick because we just worked as a team. I scrape about 6 foot in my boots on a good day if I'm lucky. Sticks was about 6'1", 6'2", real big jack guy. But it just worked. The team worked. Yeah. And again, people got behind us, and then, everyone was, they're like the British Road Warriors, and, nice. But nowhere near as big as those two. But it worked. For whatever reason, it worked. But then they got kind of a little bit weird because then they were trying to lock people down into contracts, because that big TV deal was coming.
Right.
As everything was in the early 2000s with indie wrestling, so I ended up, they were like, well, if you want to work for us, then you got to sign this. And I said, well, I'm not signing that. Because then by that point, my home promotion, IPW, would then really start. I'd had that match with Samoa Joe, and then I was put in this 4-way tournament. I won the 4-way tournament, and then it was coming up to when they were talking about putting their title on me. So I had to make a decision. Do I want to go with the place that's established, or do I want to go with the place that's been really good to me? Complete fault to my own in wrestling. I am a stickler for loyalty. Not many people are. Promoters definitely aren't. But I'm one of the guys that if you put your faith in me and you want to give me a spot and a shot and an opportunity, then you will have my loyalty. So I turned that down and I went with my home promotion.
Nice.
And for the better, because I ended up becoming I think one guy won it one night, and then technically I won it the next night. So then I was like the second champion in history. But I was super proud of that because I got to hold that title for nearly 2 years.
Oh, wow.
Nearly 2 years. And I had some banging matches with guys like Steve Corino, like Rockstar Spud or Drake Maverick. A whole host of guys that ended up on NXT UK, matches with Nick Aldis. And stuff like that. So I ended up, and then I was always at that point in time, British wrestling, it wasn't in the best spot when I got into it, but I can proudly beat my chest and say that if it wasn't for the work that I did, the British wrestling scene wouldn't have had the boom period it had with everyone else coming through, the likes of Pete Dunne and Tyler Bate and Marty Scurll, and that whole huge and Trent Seven and people like that. If it hadn't have been for the work that I put in, because of those guys all came up after me, and people are going to say I'm big-headed or whatever like that, but it's true. If you go back and look, British wrestling was dead. You had Johnny, Jody, and Doug that dragged it out of that. Then they went off and did their own thing. And then who was the guy there that was working every single guy that was flown in? And who was the guy that was having great matches? Who was the guy that American wrestlers were going back to America and saying, dude, you got to bring this guy in. He's amazing. It was me. And somewhere along the way, I forgot that. And it's not until I've started to, re-go back over my career and chat to people and stuff like that. And I'm like, yeah, I was pretty good,
Pretty good.
Yeah.
You were champion for 2 years, man. Come on. It's pretty good.
Again,
Come on.
I'm my own worst critic. I can't watch my own work back because I rip it apart. One of my favorite experiences and matches in wrestling was the tag match that I had at TakeOver Chicago 3. I refuse to watch it back because I know I will rip my performance apart and then say that was the worst match I ever had. But for me, that was one of the most special nights of my life. So I won't watch it back because I don't want to ruin that.
Wow. I respect that. I respect the shit out of that. I respect the shit out of that. Yeah. Yeah. No, man. Because
I can't sit back on my laurels. I will never sit back on my laurels because there's always work to do.
That's the thing. That's the self-awareness that you have. That like, I'm going to tear myself apart because I know I can do better and I know I can be better in every spot that I can. And that speaks to you as a performer, you as a person, like, and that's once again what I think Eddie and I want to bring to the forefront when we do these interviews is to show the just how hard you work to do these things, to be the established superstars that you guys are. It's incredible to hear stories like this and to feel, just how genuinely you speak about these things and to feel it in ourselves. It's once again, to your point, it's the everyman story. And everybody loves an everyman. Everybody loves an everyman.
Yeah. Wow. Okay, so Danny, you bring up NXT quite a bit, and actually, I wanted to jump into that. You actually opened that up for me. When we look back at your time in NXT, what are your some of your favorite moments and matches from that time? Whether it could be on TV time or even in the backstage area. I'm sure there were people there coaching or asking for help, like just that whole environment. Just walk us through that time period. What was that like for you?
So I first signed with NXT. Technically at the time it was FCW back in 2010. But then when I got to Pittsburgh and to do all the medicals, I found out I had a torn ACL, torn meniscus, and my knee was screwed. Had no idea because I had no symptoms of that being an issue. So they rescinded upon the contract and they just said, hey, get your knee fixed and then you can come back. And I'm just like, all right. So at that point, it had been 8 years. And then I said to myself, if I'm not doing something of relevance by the time I'm 30, then I'm done. I was 28 at the time. And I ended up getting signed at the O2 Arena in London, England, which was a very, very special day for me. So anyway, long story short, I ended up getting my knee fixed. And then at the time it was John Laurinaitis and I can't remember his understudy's name that was doing all the emails and stuff. But I basically got an email from the guy. Once my knee was fixed and I've been cleared, it was like, yeah, we're not interested anymore. So at that point I was like, oh, okay, well, I'm about to, I don't know what I'm going to do now. I was like, whoa, that was a complete waste of time. But then, thankfully for whatever reason, management changed hand, and then I ended up getting a call from Mr. Regal. Now, Mr. Regal has done so much for me in my career. Again, when I trained with Chris, I actually had the privilege to train with Mr. Regal, with Dave Taylor, with Fit Finlay. So I had the chance to get literally trained by the best of the best,
like master technicians.
And I was very lucky that I kept in touch with Mr. Regal. Anyway, on this particular day, he called me and he said, hey, I just want to let you know, your deal's good. And I was like, huh? And he went, your deal's good. He said, so come to Sheffield next week for the tapings, get cleared by the doctor. You don't have to try out. You don't have to do anything. You just have to pass the physical. So I turn up, pass the physical. I get the green light from him. They send all the paperwork through. I then go through all the visa process, go back to Pittsburgh, get the green light and everything like that. The most nerve-wracking day of my life.
Oh,
and
yeah.
I remember the doctor, the doctor is like, yeah, man, this is a huge deal. Like, if I say no right now, then you got nothing. And I'm like, wait,
Doc, what are you doing?
And he goes, I'm kidding. And he was so nice. He literally gave me $50. He pulled $50 out of his wallet and he goes, I remember you from 2 years ago trying to do this. Go and get absolutely hammered, shit-faced drunk on me. And he told me what bar to go to, and he gave me that money, and he said, "Go have a good
$50
time."
will go a long way at that bar.
That was So then I reported duty for duty at FCW June 3rd of 2012, and again there was a shift in control. So Hunter had taken over developmental. I think John Laurinaitis had gone to being a producer. And he'd taken out Guy Bailey was that guy's name, was the one that he was the one that emailed me and shattered my dreams.
Damn you, Ty Bailey.
Well, I don't know with the company or not, I have no idea. But yeah, so John Laurinaitis' team has been pulled out, and there was all this talk about, well, FCW is changing, because at that particular time FCW was an island onto its own. And it was very, very hard for communication-wise to know what the guys were doing right, what they were doing wrong, if they were wasting their time. Like, okay, how do I get caught up to TV? So that was one of the things that Hunter wanted to change first and foremost. It's like, okay, you have a lifeline now to me, and I'm going to make sure that we know everything that's going on and everything like that. Because at the time with FCW, it was, okay, we're just going to hire guys that are 6'2" and above, look like swimwear models, and you're all going to wear black elbow pads, black or white wrist tape, black knee pads, and black boots. And you're probably all going to have the same hairstyle, and you might have different accents. That was the criteria they were looking at that particular time. And again, that doesn't hurt, because at the end of the day, you got Roman Reigns, you got Seth Rollins, you got Dean Ambrose, you got Antonio Cesaro. You got some of the, you got Xavier Woods, you got Big E Langston, you got a lot of guys that ended up doing so much on the main roster. So the system wasn't broken. I wouldn't say it was broken, but but
it just wasn't tailored.
There was room for improvement. And this was Hunter's long-term vision.
Yeah.
So then after, trying to think, it was about a month after being there, things were going pretty good. There'd been a change of a head coach. It had gone from Dr. Tom Pritchard to Bill DeMott. And after about a month, things were going, just before a month, things are going really, really good. I've just come off a weekend I'd been working tags and triple and six-mans with Seth and Roman and people like that. So, people were starting to take note of, oh, man, this kid's pretty good.
No.
And then due to a stupid training drill that I was forced to do, I re-tear my ACL, my meniscus, and
Come on.
So I'm back on the shelf again. And there's many written, documented things about how this particular coach would drill people. You probably know what I'm talking about, but everyone knows how he would drill people until the point of something breaking, something tearing, and just being a miserable prick to everyone.
What a shame. That's disgusting.
And then, so then again, I'm back on the shelf. Wonderful. Yeah. So then at this point in time, I say to myself, well, okay, I can't wrestle. I can't do what I'm being paid to do. Maybe I can cut promos. And then every week I would hobble into Dusty's office. One of the greatest things I got to experience during my first tenure with NXT was being able to sit under the learning tree of the American Dream, Dusty Rhodes. Just one of the most, just absolutely amazing. Just promo classes during that time period anyway, the first run. Promo classes was the only light at the end of the tunnel. So anyway, every week, the first few weeks, I would hobble in on crutches. Hey, Dream, can I cut a promo? Nope, you're not cleared. okay. And then, I go back to the drawing board and sit there and rehab and brood and like, this isn't going the way it should be going. God forbid, I'm probably going to get cleared and then get fired because I've just been stealing money from the company. Anyway, then chance would be it. I have to go and take a drug test because obviously we're, as talent, you're drug tested at random and stuff like that. Anyway, so I go do my P test and everything like that. And just as I'm walking back, Dream goes, all right, Birch, you're up. And obviously, bearing in mind that time, I'd then been given the name Danny Birch. So the way the name process works is you choose 10 names, you write down 10 names, they go through the list, and then you literally tell them what one you want. They'll see if it's trademarked or if it's available, and then they go from there. Danny Birch was never a name I fucking wrote down because I absolutely hated it. And I was forced to take it. So anyway, there's that story. Yeah, literally put together two random. I think I may have written Danny down, but I definitely didn't write Birch down. But literally, they're like, "No, that's your name. We've got 3." I was like, "So what's the other 2?" And they're like, "Yeah, but we really like this one." I said, "What's the other 2? Because that's shit." And they're like, "That's your name. Get on with it." I'm like, okay, brilliant. Thanks for that.
Danny Birch. All right, on it. Thank you very much.
And then, of course, so, again, so I come back from the P test and Dream's like, all right, Birch, you're up. You've been pestering me to do a promo for the last God knows how long. Let's see what you got. It is online somewhere because somebody released a disc of FCW promos. It is online somewhere. I haven't got it, but I left Dusty Rhodes speechless that day. And that was the start of people going, oh, maybe he can do more than just wrestle. Maybe he can actually talk. I was very fortunate because my younger years in school and college, I was actually a drama major. So I was in the realm of, okay, well, let's try and be what I wanted to do when I was younger was to be a stuntman, which I kind of ended up doing in a roundabout way, really bad acting, jumping through tables and, stupid shit like that, but definitely not getting paid the amount they get paid for it, But anyway, so I had that background of being able to cut monologues or cut promos and read scripts and just, ad lib and stuff like that. So I've been very lucky in that respect that, stick a mic in my hand and I can just talk, Do people give me that chance? No. As I'll get back to in my later run in NXT. So I started cutting promos, and then obviously I got back in ring. Super nervous with my knee. I was worried about re-tearing it and everything like that. And then just there was a head coach that made professional wrestling miserable. There was a head coach that made me absolutely hate that I decided to get in the business. There was a head coach that enjoyed making everyone in that place miserable. And took pride in the fact that everybody couldn't stand him, and took pride in the fact of just being an abusive, bullying prick. And I always say, to compare coaches, you have a coach that gets power and then abuses it, or as you do now, you have a coach that has power and puts that to the best use possible. That's all I'm going to say. So my first time in NXT was fucking horrible. I got to the point I hated it. I wanted to leave. I wanted to ask my release. I wanted to quit. But I would not give that fat prick the satisfaction.
That's right. Yeah, fuck that.
So the day,
I'm sorry.
No. So the day I walked in the office and got told, "Hey, we've got to release you," I had to do everything except jump for joy in front of them, because for me it was finally over. And I hated to say that. And then what was funny was it wasn't the head coach that told me I was being let go. It was some fucking schmuck, whoever it was. Yeah. And I said, "Can I talk to him?" "Oh, well, let me go check." "Oh, he's really busy now, but if you want to send him an email." And I went, "Yeah, okay, tell him to go fuck himself."
Yeah, send an email. Sure. Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Open.
So for me, that was the summer of 2014. That was April 2014. So I started June 3rd, 2012, and then I got let go in the April of 2014. So again, I was at a crossroads there. I was like, shit, do I really carry on with this now? Like, at the time, that was the only place to go. New Japan was not a hot option. There was no AEW. TNA was, it was doing good business, but unless you were a super mega star that had been let go, you weren't getting a job there, and that's completely fine.
Right.
It was at the end of the day, I was the guy. I was, the glorified job guy that got everybody ready for whatever they were doing, put them over, had good matches, whatever it was. My favorite period of time during that, however, though, was actually getting to have my debut match on TV. Was a really fun time for me. Even though it was an enhancement role, I'd become pretty close with Wyndham, Bray Wyatt, because at the time I was rehabbing my knee, he was rehabbing his shoulder. So we spent a lot of days together in rehab. Excuse me. So I actually got to have his comeback match, and I actually got to be the guy that put him over. And that was one of the few guys that I had no problem doing that for. And he's a super swell guy. And so fast forward then to 2014, I go home, and then I'm like, well, I don't know what I'm going to do. And then I get home, and then my phone doesn't stop ringing, and I go on one of the funnest indie runs I've had.
Nice.
Nice. I ended up moving back here in it was the end of 2014, start of 2015. I don't really like talking about this, but I'm going to have to anyway. So I met my now ex-wife, who I'll get into details about that, but I'd met her in between working and stuff like that and being let go. And then, it was one of those, well, let's give it a shot. If it works out, it works out. If not, I'll just go home. And so that was 2014. Then the day after the old head coach got fired, I get a phone call. Resigned. I get a phone call from Mr. Regal.
Forcefully resigned.
Yeah. I get a phone call from Mr. Regal, and he says to me, hey, do you want to be an extra for NXT? And I said, yes, sir. Because
Absolutely.
I had a conversation with him, and I said, I will never step foot in that building again or anywhere near this place again if he's still there. I was
as long as that motherfucker's around.
Dead set against it. It was dead set against it. Because I never understood how someone could enjoy just creating misery.
That's a special kind of prick.
Yeah.
It's a special kind of prick.
Yeah.
Like
it's I still can't wrap my head around it. I'm like, all right, well, fuck. Was you not held enough as a kid? Was you dropped on your head as a kid? I don't know.
You a hard motherfucker.
And again, people. It's not just me that said this. There's multiple accounts of people that have done so much more than me in our industry that went through the system with that head coach. So it's not just me being bitter. Like, go on any fucking podcast for the last 10 years, and it's not just me that said this, So I don't think I'm unwarranted in my feeling. Would I say it to his face today? 100% I would. Happily.
Absolutely.
So anyway, Mr. Eagle calls me and says, hey, so would you like to be an extra now? Of course, I start laughing. I was like, yes, sir, I would absolutely love the chance. So then I flip-flopped him back. I was in a very weird position then because they would literally bring me in just to have people's debuts. It was never like, oh, okay, you got 2 minutes, you got 3 minutes, you're going to charge, go for a close on, they're going to duck, and then they're just going to hit you with a finish, and that was it, So I was really fortunate. I ended up having Apollo Crews' debut match. I had James Storm's debut match. I had Sean Spears' re-debut when he was doing the 10 gimmick. I had his debut match. So I was very, very fortunate. I was getting time. It was like the matches were, 12 with entrances, so it was like you got a good solid 8 minutes in ring. So it was kind of a weird thing. I didn't think anything of it, but it was just one of those things. Then it came to, I can't remember what takeover number it was, but it was takeover in Texas, and I was told that, hey, there's no tapings for the next 9 weeks. And at this point in time, it had been about a year and a half, 2 years of like doing this. And I was starting to get very frustrated because I'm like, you're bringing me back every month, you're giving me multiple shows on all of the tapings, everything's going longer than a squash, you're basically treating me like part of the roster, but you're not signing me, so
but I'm not getting paid like the roster.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's like,
like, come on.
I don't know what the extra deals are now, but at the time I was getting paid $200, and I'm like, I'm pretty sure these guys are making $1,000 1,000 a
$200.
week and, whatever, So
Right.
I started to get a little bit frustrated with it. And at that point, I was like, I'm not going to be a professional extra, which people, there's some guys here that do that just, they'll get the call and they'll turn up and do whatever they want. And they've been doing it for like 10 years, whatever like that. If that's what you want to do, then, have at it. That's great. If that's
More power
if
to
that's
you.
your way of saying that you've made it, I've got no arguments with that at all. That's not what I wanted for me. All I wanted in my career with WWE was to be able to go back home and perform at the O2 Arena and to get an action figure. That was literally all I wanted. Never wanted a WrestleMania moment. No, I never wanted any of that. All I wanted was that, just so I could fucking have an action figure and send it home to my mum and go, guess what? It wasn't a waste of time.
It happened. I made it. I made it. Look.
Yeah, it was, it was literally that. So then he tells me like, there's not going to be any tapings for 9 weeks. So then at that point in time, I'm banging my head against the wall. And I was like, well, I got 9 weeks. I know I can talk and I know I can work. I'm just going to get in the best shape I can. So through sheer starvation and fucking fat burning drugs and everything like that, I ended up, I went through that time period in NXT when I was absolutely shredded. Living on one meal or eating 3 to 4 times a week isn't fun, and I wouldn't recommend it for anyone.
Oh, God.
Wow.
God.
So anyway, so then, I turned up and everyone's like, oh my God, look at you. This is amazing, blah, blah, blah. But then it was still nothing. I'm just like, I'm wasting my fucking time now. So then I was like, you know what? I'm going to go explore, now I can maybe talk to, Impact and Ring of Honor and everything like that. Anyway, then it gets to December of I think it was December 2015. I get the call from Canyon Seaman, hey, can you be in Blackpool for the first ever NXT UK tournament? And I got that on a week's notice. And I said, yeah, of course I can.
Absolutely.
Of course I can. Of course. And then I was very fortunate that I had a very, very, very good showing in that opening match against, at the time, his name was Jordan Devlin, who's now known as JD McDonough.
Yeah.
And I don't know if you guys have seen his podcast with Chris Van Vliet. You guys seen that?
The episode.
Have you guys seen that? You haven't seen that? Okay, so I'm gonna correct some fucking statements that prick made.
Yes, do it.
Freak accident happened. We were going into the finish, and he goes for. At the time, he was not the performer he is now. Bear in mind, I will say right now, he is pound for pound one of the best guys they have on their roster. At the time, he wasn't. Right. And if you go back and watch it, you see that he is very wishy-washy because I'm literally I'm telling him from the bottom what to do because, nerves, whatever like that, but he completely lost the plot. We get to the finish and he does his tornado kick thing, which he kind of fucked up the timing on. So I run forward to make sure the kick connects and he catches me in the back of the head. Light tap, didn't feel anything, just, took the bump, whatever. He pins me and the ref counts 1, 2, 3. But I kick out because it was kick out, going to the next spot, we go home. I look at the ref and then, of course, in my head, I'm like, fuck, we went over on time. You know? I look at the ref and he's like, no, I was like, what the fuck? And he's like, dude, you're bleeding. The whole of my head was busted open.
Oh, shit.
So, freak accident. He accidentally caught me with a kick to the back of the head. I took a super kick, took a bump and hit my head, and then refused to take the 3 count pin as it was told by him.
Is that the story he fucking went with?
Really hurt me because I have known him for years.
Shit.
That's all I'm going to say. I'm not going to get, that's my story. He knows how it went down. I know how it went down. I guess whatever reason he decided to protect his side of it because it was a shitty performance from him. End of story. Whatever. It doesn't matter. But because of that and that particular showing, that put me back on the map where they were like, oh my God, this kid's amazing. Then I was very fortunate that I don't know if you guys recall when I started having the feud with eventual tag partner, Oney Lorcan.
Yeah.
Oney Lorcan.
Those 2 matches when we beat the absolute shit out of each other.
Clinics.
Which was a shame because the first match, like when my nose exploded, it was pouring out everywhere. Cut it. But I remember on the night, I can't remember what he did. I think it was a running Euro. He smashed me straight in the face. And I remember rolling over and being on the ropes and going, and blowing it. It was just like pouring out everywhere.
Oh,
And but I ended up cutting it for TV. So I did that match. And then I was then supposed to do the second match. And then obviously with being an extra, you have to have blood work provided, obviously, for HIV, Hep B, Hep C,
right.
and
Medical
all of that,
clearances and everything like
complete
that, of course.
general protocol, obviously, because they can't have their
Absolutely.
athletes, Well, anyway, my blood work had run out. I'd run out by 2 days when I sent it, which I didn't realize. And I was like, dude, like, I'm married, I'm not fucking around, like, I'm clean, like, well, we can't really do anything about that, I'm afraid, like, you got to have your blood work. And at the time, I didn't have insurance. So getting blood work and a physical done was like $500. I was a struggling wrestler, I had fuck all money at all. So I said, well, unfortunately, I can't do that. So I guess I'll have to see you the next month. And that was kind of how the conversation was ended. And I was just like, well, part of me was mad because they didn't say, you know what, we'll just pay for your blood work for you. Just come and get it done. And then, because I'd been working there consistently for nearly 3 years now.
Right. And they have doctors on the payroll that can do this.
Yeah. So, and I was like, I've been doing this for 3 years now. Like, I'm good for this. I've had to do these tests multiple times, But anyway, so I was like, well, okay, I guess that's that then. Anyway, within 10, 15 minutes, I get a phone call and they're like, hey, we're going to put you on a pay per appearance deal. I was like, what does that mean? They were like, we're going to pay you more money per show. And you're going to, we'll take care of your blood work now. Now, bear in mind, this was 24 hours before the show. So all of a sudden they can, not going to say
they
anything.
can do it all.
So anyway, but again, I was really fortunate for them to do that, So again, that was in the time period when Tommaso Ciampa and Johnny Gargano had just started working there. And they were on the same deal as me. I don't know what they were getting paid, but it was the same thing. It was, we're going to pay you to be at every taping. And then we do all the shows in Florida around the loop. We'll get with you, find out what dates you can do because we know you have indie bookings. So we'll bring you to our shows. Plus you can still work the indies. Plus you got TV and everything like that. So that was a really, really fun time. So it was like I was getting the exposure on TV. So I started to get everywhere, and, it was absolutely fantastic. And then it was a 6-month deal. And then at the time, Canyon was Hunter's right-hand man. And he goes, I don't know where this contract's going to lead anywhere. I don't know if we're going to give you a job at the end of it, but all I can ask is just make the most of it. And I was like, okay, no problem. I loved Canyon. A lot of people didn't like him, but I loved him because he was straight to the point, and no one is straight shooter in wrestling.
Yeah. Straight shooter.
Everyone's
Absolutely.
like, brother, and then talk shit to you when you turn your back to him, So I love Canyon. He was an absolute straight shooter. So, so then he got to like the maybe 2-3 days before 6 months was up, and I hadn't heard anything. And I was like, okay, well, this was fun. I made a bunch of money. I'd got my name out through all like the Northeast. In wrestling, I'd been to Los Angeles. I'd been to, I was working in Boston every month. I was working in the New England area every month. So it was like, I'd got a nice little network. So I was like, okay, now I can definitely reach out to Ring of Honor and TNA and, let's see if we can, do business.
Something works. Right.
So then I had my last match with them on the Saturday, which was, I think it was Coral Springs in Florida, if I remember rightly. And then technically my contract was up. And I was like, okay, well, no one said anything to me at this show, like, hey, give us a call Monday or anything like that. So I was like, all right, I guess that's it then. So then Monday afternoon, I'm in Old Navy trying to buy jeans and shit. And I get a phone call from Canyon. And he says to me, hey, this is Hunter's call. We want to give you a full-time deal. You've been nothing but a pro. You've worked your ass off. We want to bring you on full time. So this was March of 2018. So I'm completely beside myself. They send me for all the testing again, like that. Get past all the testing and everything like that. And I'll never forget it. They were literally on the Friday. They were like, yeah. I was like, I hadn't heard anything. So I did all the testing on the Monday, and they were like, you'll know by Tuesday evening. So I'm emailing nothing. I'm hearing nothing back, and I'm like, I'll be all right. And I get a text. It's like, you can't do any more indie bookings whatsoever. I'm like, okay. I was like, so what's going on? Nothing. And I'm like,
right. What does that mean?
Then I'm like, shit, have I got like fucking some weird blood disease, or it was like my head mutating, or I'm
Something,
thinking the
yeah.
worst. And then Sunday
Right.
night, they're like, "Oh, our bad,
course.
we fucking missed the paperwork. Yeah, you're good." And I'm like, they're like, "We're sending
My
your contract
gosh.
back.
Our bad.
We're sending your contract back, but you start tomorrow morning at the PC. Be there at 9 a.m." And I'm like, okay, brilliant. So this is actually quite a funny story. No, and again, at that point, I was just relieved. I was like, thank God for that,
Yeah,
of course,
This is
yeah.
actually a really funny story. So I turn up at the PC, and obviously it's the same PC it was when I was there before with the other head instructor. It must have taken me 20 minutes to walk through that fucking door because I had the worst PTSD in the world. Every time I went up to the door, I was like, shit, can I do this? I was just like, I can't. I don't know if I can do this. I'm like, am I making the right decision here? Should I just tell them this isn't worth it?
Life choices.
People walking in and they're like, you're right. And I'm like, yeah, I'm good. You please, you go ahead. I'm sitting there like, oh, fuck. Because I just remember the days of walking in there and it was just like everyone was miserable. Like, it was prison. And it was fucking prison. Yeah. It was awful. So then eventually I pulled up my big boy pants. I was like, all right, come on, it's now or never. And then I walk in, everyone's laughing, everyone's smiling, everyone's having fun, everyone's like joking around. I'm like, what the fuck happened here? It was like walking into a time warp. It was amazing. And then again that day I then get told, hey, TV's tomorrow. We're going to start your program with UE. And then in 4 weeks' time, you're going to be wrestling at TakeOver Chicago. Huh? Yeah. What? Like shit. Wow. And then we have that great tour in Europe. We do Download Festival. We're in Brussels. We're in Paris. We then end up in middle of nowhere in America in between for 2 shows, and then we get to Chicago. We do the match at Chicago, and if you watch the match back, you will see the genuine emotion on my face at the end of that, where I broke down, because I could actually say I did it. I done it. I got there. And in my head, it's, man, everyone who has these kinds of takeover matches, a year later, they're getting called up. We walk through the back, we get congratulated, and then we get told, hey, just to let you guys know, the War Raiders are the next babyface tag team, not you guys. So I'm like, oh, okay, cool. So obviously in that match, Oney got his face caved in by Roddy, so he was out for 3 months and everything like that. So then I'm just floundering on, I wasn't on TV, floundering on the live events, working, all the new guys that couldn't work for shit, but good old Birch can, make a broomstick look good.
Right.
Then Oney comes back. And, it's like, yeah, here we go. It's going to be awesome. And then we have 2 matches on TV where we run through 2 random teams. And then we basically spent, this was what, 2028? Yeah. We then basically spent 2.5 years getting everybody else ready for their tag title matches and their tag title reigns. We feuded with UE for 6-7 months and lost every TV match to them. Lost every TV match to Imperium. Lost every TV match to the Street Profits. Lost every TV match to the Forgotten Sons. And obviously lost every TV match to the War Raiders. So we were glorified enhancement talent. But for some unknown reason, unbeknownst to me and unbeknownst to Oney, that crowd fucking loved us. And I have no idea why, because we were booked like shit. And I tell you what, every single one of those NXT fans, I will love until the day I fucking die. Because every time we went out there, they didn't care what the outcome was. They didn't care what we were doing. They didn't care how long the match was. They just loved seeing us work. And they felt the genuine passion that we had. And I felt it from them. And I didn't care what we ended up doing, because for however long we were out there, we were their team. I don't care what anyone says. I do not care whatever pen pusher says, it's you. No, not you, not you, not you, you. I don't care what any pencil pusher or pen pusher says. That crowd wanted us.
That's crazy. That's
so
awesome,
then
man.
obviously, the world shuts down and, we're wrestling for gasoline. And, which again, I'm thankful for, because they paid us throughout that entire time. So as much as it was a nightmare not wrestling in front of fans, it was, I had a roof over my head and food on the table and bills are paid,
Yeah.
So then we come out of the pandemic, and then I think it was about 6 times but it changed each time. We were told we were going to win in the tag titles. Change of plan. It's going to be so-and-so. Oh, okay. By this point, I didn't care. Neither of us did. It was just like, you know what? We're coming through a really uncertain time right now, so I'll do whatever's, going to happen. So then, we start to get through all of that. But then, obviously, I need to skip back, just before the pandemic. Oney decided to tell the company to go fuck themselves because he wasn't getting paid enough, and took it upon himself to ask for his release and disappeared for about 4 months. So then I get told, and for whatever reason it was, I that's his business. Now I was like, okay, so where does that leave me? And they're like, well, we got nothing for you. So I started laughing. I was like, well, then I guess you might as well fucking fire me now then, right? They're like, no, it's nothing like that. It's nothing like that. Just we haven't got anything for you. I'm like, okay, whatever. So then I was like, all right, well, AEW had just popped up. So in my head, I'm like, you know what? I'm just going to say fuck them because I ain't waiting around. Anyway, then I was really, really fortunate. And this is getting back to your original question to go all around the houses about what was your most favorite time in developmental. I got the chance to be on 205 Live. And they were all of them were. They were the funnest shows, the funnest experience I've ever had with corporate wrestling in my entire life. Wow. It was absolutely amazing. So we were traveling with SmackDown. So it would be flying into TVs and everything like that. Getting the chance to pick the brains of, some of the greatest minds in the business, getting to watch how the main event works. Unfortunately, some of the shows having to go on after where half the crowd left, and stuff like that, which was, it was what it was, but it was such a fun time. And then eventually Oney, comes back all happy because I guess he got what he was asking. And then, so we start teaming on 205. So at this point in time, we're not on NXT. And in my head, I'm like, okay, so when this usually happens, 6 months after doing that, usually they would just give you a road deal. So in my head, I'm like, man, I'm about to make the most amount of money I've ever fucking made in my life. Here we go. And then a week before I get the opportunity to be like, hey, I've been doing this for 6 months now. Like, what's going on? That's when the world shut down. And that's when everything, everything then moved to the Performance Center. So it was like, all right. But just doing those 205 matches and then, getting a chance to work in the tag with Oney, and we were working Tony Nese, Aria Davari, Brian Kendrick, like getting to, like literally from when I first broke in, I remember watching the tape trading days of Ring of Honor and watching Spanky on there. And it was like, I got to have a singles match with Spanky on 205 Live. First time we'd ever wrestled, it was the main event, so it was just, I was so fortunate and blessed during that time because it was so much fun. And also as well, a lot of the producers didn't really care about it. So they just like, yeah, sounds good. So we just kind of went out there and did our own thing. And our tag team street fight, bar none, was fucking amazing. I'll hold my hands up to that, and I will toot my own horn on that. We ended up getting a bit of heat because we got more reaction than the tables match on SmackDown, which had a certain tribal chief on it, and apparently we got heat for it. So just for me, I was just like, fuck yeah, it was so much fun, like the traveling,
nailed it.
And then meeting up in the hotel bars afterwards and just, sitting there going, well, we got 3 hours, lads, what we doing? It's like, well, I guess we're staying up and just, like having a few drinks, chatting to the agents, like listening about like old stories on the road and stuff like that, and really getting to learn the business. Like it was, I fucking loved it. It was absolutely amazing. Anyway, amazing. Obviously the world shuts down, and then all that fun gets taken away from us. And then we get told, hey, you guys are going to win the. We get a text being like, okay, be on deck tomorrow. You guys are winning the tag titles, and we hear that in a text message, which I'm like, pretty sure, most of the roster didn't hear it that way, but I was like, okay, whatever. Didn't look into it too much. Then the next morning it was like, oh no, we're going to go with so and so. Oh, okay. 2 weeks later, hey, be on deck. You guys are winning the tag titles. Oh, okay, cool. Next morning, no, we're going to keep it on them because they're going to go into a feud with them. Then they're going to give it back and do this and that. And then hopefully we get round to you. And I'm like, oh, fuck, all right, whatever. So at this point, I was just like, I hated it, but it was just like, okay, I'm not wrestling in front of fans. I'm wrestling in front of TV screens. I'm grateful to, be earning money and, being able to, provide a living for myself and get a roof over my head and everything like that. But it wasn't fun. Wrestling in front of no one is, again, 205.
Yeah.
I had dream match of mine had been to work Kushida, and I worked Kushida in front of nobody. And this wasn't even the time of the screens. This is when it was just empty chairs in the building. And I remember, it was funny. Me and Kushida would have like a really good, really good fun time, banter and stuff. He'd walk in and be like, "Oh, Butch, son, PC, shit," and we'd just start laughing, just because he was miserable as well, So it was just. I remember we were doing this match. We get to the back and he's like, "Oh, shit, good match." Shit though, just because there was no fans there, and it sucked, and it was like that would in front of a crowd, that match would have been amazing. I mean, it was still a good match, and it was a good match, you ended up just being, it was like a real, it was a real technical bout, because I was an absolute fan of his trainer, who was Kazushi Sakuraba, which is the guy who destroyed all the Gracies in Pride. That was the guy who broke him in. So I was just like, okay, like that. Okay. So he knows his stuff, so, it was going to be fun. Anyway, then the day finally comes when, I get an email from, my producer, for the show, and I'm booked to, lose a match to Ridge Holland in a minute and a half. So at this point,
Holland, wow.
I have never complained. I have never argued a finish. I have never said, fuck no, I'm not putting him over. I've always been, I was, especially being broken in by Mr. Regal and Dave and Fit and stuff. You're always a professional. You turn up, you ask what the promoter wants of you, you ask what the booker wants of you, and you do it to the best of your ability, regardless of what it is. So I approached everything as a complete pro. This was the only time I kind of lost my cool. So I call up the producer. I'm not going to say who it is, because it'll put him on the spot. But he ended up becoming my mentor. That's all I'm going to say.
Okay.
And I'm like, what the fuck is this? So there is 100 fucking shithouses here that do not know how to tie up my fucking bootlaces or even fucking lock up. And I'm doing this shit? Fuck this. And he went, respectfully, I'm going to ask you to shut the fuck up and I'll talk to you tomorrow. And he hung up on me. And I'm like, buried myself.
Yeah.
When you're like heat in the moment, and then I'm like, shit. How much have I done to warrant going to AEW right now? I was like, I'm fucked. God. I am fucked. Oh. So anyway, I turn up to the TV tapings, and then, I'm sitting there just obviously with this face, trying to be all like bright-eyed and bushy-tailed, but in my head, I'm just like, I just want to go the fuck home. I don't want to do this. This is fucking bullshit, blah, blah, blah. Only time I've ever thought like that, bear in mind. Anyway, then, one of the writers comes past and goes, hey, I'm standing there with Oney. Oney's like, and then he'd been written into it that he runs out to make the save, and then he just gets trounced. So he doesn't even make the save.
So both of you are getting killed.
And I'm literally looking at him. I'm like, this is how they write people off to fire them.
Yeah.
And he's like, yeah. I was like, we're getting fucking fired. I was like, that fucking shit with. So I was, I was not anyway. Anyway, then one of the writers comes past and goes, hey guys, do you know what you're doing tonight? And I was like, I was just about to go, putting this prick over in fucking under 2 minutes. And he goes, we're setting you guys up to next week. You're going to win a qualifying tag match. And then the week after, you're going to take the titles off of Breezango. And I'm like,
okay.
And of course in my head, I'm like, I fucking believe that when I see it.
Right.
Pessimistic as always. Anyway, then.
Well, they haven't shown you anything different.
Because again, multiple texts and it's coming. I'm just like, whatever. Right. Anyway, then maybe 10, 15. So I was like, oh, cool. Yeah, great. So I guess, I don't know, I guess he'd gone, Anyway, then maybe 20 minutes later, Hunter walks out and he's like, hey guys, come here. So there's Hunter, there's Sean, there's Road Dogg, like the whole fucking writing team. And then Hunter lays out the exact fucking plan and exactly how it's going to go, leading up to War Games, leading up to everything else, and then leading up to Mania. And I'm like, oh, And then said producer that I'd had the phone call with the night before stands behind me and goes, "Do you feel like a fucking asshole now?" And I'm like, "Yep, we'll do."
Yeah, absolutely. Right here, Mr. Asshole.
We had the match with Yui, and obviously we win that, we qualify, and then we do the match with Breezango. There's two things I didn't like about it, and that sounds really snobbish to say, but it was fantastic to finally win a title for the largest wrestling company in the world. And if you actually go back and watch that, my reaction is genuine. When we were originally supposed to win the tag titles, we were supposed to win them as baby faces. Then the week after, Breezango would come out and challenge, and then we do the handshake bollocks, and then Pat runs out and jumps them, and then we do the big fuck you to everyone. They decided to change it and turn us heel in the match so that we'd win it. And I felt that took everything away from the fans that had been behind us for the entire time, which I probably feel was on purpose.
Yeah.
Because the amount of messages I got in my inbox was everyone, like random, I had fans from India, like, hate that you're bad, but so happy for you. And I feel that they took that away from them, where they should have had that one moment with us just to go, fuck yes, our team did it. Our fucking team did it. But they didn't, and again, and it was fun. It was fun wrestling as heels. It's a little bit frustrating at times because it was like, oh, hey, you guys are heels, but like you can't do any cool stuff. And I'd say, well, what about you, Ian?
What's the point?
Wait, and then it'd be like, what do you mean we can't do any cool stuff? It's like, oh, well, you've just got to bump around, and then you've got to cheat to win. So then I'd be like, so why did you, Ian, never cheat to win? So were they baby faces the whole time? No, they were heels. I would just throw, and again, I would drop it, but I would just throw questions. So I was like, you're really not setting us up that well here, but it is what it is. I then got to do the match at Takeover War Games, which again, most unreal, experience in my life. Getting to be in there with a group of guys that I'd literally from the ground up, essentially in my entire run, second time around, from the ground up, from the first, the first takeover I did to that, unfortunately, unfortunately being my last. It was with UE. Absolutely love those guys to death. It's heartbreaking what's going on with Adam Cole right now. So I can only hope that he's doing okay, and he's getting the help he needs for whatever it is, because obviously I have no idea what it is. I'm glad Kyle got through his awful neck surgery stuff, where he lost complete use of his left arm, and he was absolutely petrified if he'd be able to pick up his daughter. So guys that were there from the start, essentially, and then, we got there. I had a great conversation with Hunter after Takeover, which, I'll keep that to myself, because that's, it's one of those things that,
Absolutely.
the easiest way to say it is to get the nod from one of the greatest that's, ever laced up a pair of boots, will always mean a lot to me. And, I actually got the chance to, my mother has, Alzheimer's. So she has no idea who I am now.
I'm sorry, bro.
But
I'm sorry.
The day after we won the tag titles, I managed to call home and she was lucid. So I actually got to tell her, hey, Mum, I did it.
It's beautiful.
Anyway, then obviously fast forward to March of 2021 and, freak accident. I separate my shoulder in a match with Cross and Finn Balor. Complete freak accident. Nobody's fault at all. Went up for a suplex, and literally as I went to go, my hand slipped off his leg. If Cross had not held my neck, I probably would be paralyzed right now.
Wow.
Just, so I landed, I heard the crunch, we clashed heads. So I'm like, Kev, you good? And he's like, yeah, why? So I expected to see like his face covered in blood, because I thought the crunch I heard, I thought I'd broken his nose. And then I go to get up, and then, of course, my shoulder's sticking through, So it's like, oh, fuck, I was exceptionally annoyed at that point in time, because obviously it was myself, Oney, and Pete. It was Ridge, but then obviously Ridge had that horrific ankle and knee injury when he was out for God knows how long, but the three of us were doing stuff. So then in my head, especially because Michael Hayes is a producer, maybe you can do the Freebird rule, have three guys that defend the tag.
Yeah, three guys.
Which was something I pitched numerous times.
Right.
because I was only going to be out 6 months. So I was like, at least keep the titles on us, and then, fucking let me come back, give us a couple of matches, and then we'll put the next team over. Let's fucking give it back, because now we had crowds, but now it was like people were out the pods and they didn't have to wear masks, and it was like now they could. Vince had done that big thing when he came back on TV, and wow, where the fuck you all been? So it was like everyone was back now, So I was just like, I just wanted to be able to like do that, but no, they just stripped us of the titles. Okay, so I do the rehab. I come back. I have the last match on what was the final episode of NXT Black and Gold against MSK, I think their names were. The Rascals or whatever the fuck they're called. I think it was MSK. I don't know, some three non-sequential initials. So we do that, and I come to the back, and then I get one of the highest compliments I've ever had in my life. So usually the rehab process, you rehab, and then you spend a good month or two on live events doing basic matches and just trying to get your ring fitness back and everything like that.
Right.
So I
timing and everything.
I get cleared on the Thursday and then I'll get cleared on the Friday and then get told, hey, you're in the main event Tuesday.
Wow.
I'm like, what? I was like, I am not fucking in ring. Like, what the fuck?
Holy shit.
And they're like, oh, well, what do you mean you're not in ring shape? I said, I haven't had a fucking practice match. I said, I've been doing stupid ass CrossFit workouts because the PT thinks this was the correct rehab for my fucking shoulder. And he's like, well, it'll be okay. Oh. So playing devil's advocate in my head, I'm like, okay, I think they're just trying to get rid of me. They probably weren't, but I couldn't help but think that. So I was like,
all the things that you've been shown kind of lead you down that
going
path.
Going through rehab and like having my right arm in a sling, going through two ACL tears was one of the worst things in my life. But then this time around, I'm like, I can be up and about and I can walk. It's going to be fine. This was even harder because it was my right hand. So like, not to be gross, I couldn't wipe my ass properly. Like,
you couldn't wipe your ass.
Food.
Yeah.
Couldn't brush my teeth. I'm like literally fucking head bobbing on the fucking toothbrush, So it was awful. It was absolutely awful. I had to sleep upright in a chair for the first 3 months because so it was just so I couldn't sleep properly because it was awful. It was an awful rehab process. So anyway, so we get to the main event, and then again I get through the main event, and in my head I'm like, I've just got to get through this. I've just got to get through this. I've just got to get through this. And then it sucked as well because then when I got a welcome. I actually have Tommaso Ciampa to thank for this. So my original plan to come back was slide in the ring, take 2 finishes, and then get thrown out. That was my big comeback after 6 months out.
After 6 months.
After 6 months out and being tag champion. And Tommaso went to bat for me and went, no, absolutely not. And Tommaso bumped around for me and let me beat the shit out of him, which he didn't have to do that. He didn't have to do that at all. And that really meant a lot to me. So then we set the match up. We do the match, I come to the back and I was just like, I felt at that point in time, I felt like just, it was a matter of time now.
Borrowed time.
They weren't doing anything. They had nothing set up for me and Oney. We just lost to MSK. They may have been tag team champions. I can't remember. I know it was bouncing between them and it was supposed to be GYV, but that never happened. Obviously, we know what happened to GYV. I come to the back and Sean, comes up to me and he goes, Danny, you ain't lost a beat. And in my head, I'm like, the fuck was you watching? Because I felt off, I felt like, I'm sure I wasn't, but I felt like my timing was off. I felt slow. I felt like I was like 2 steps behind everyone. Being a performer, I was like, oh shit, thank you so much. Then at the PC, we have these things. They were doing these things at the time, which were PC lives, which was basically, a version of a live event, but obviously no crowd. You would just work in front of the agents and the coaches and stuff like that. It was just for green guys to get reps. Essentially, it was just so they could get used to moving around and stuff like that. Because if I'd have been a new guy coming into the Performance Center during that whole time period, I would not have stuck to it. Because having to try and learn everything that especially coming from, it sounds awful. My time period, it was like you kind of, you might have certain things laid out, but you essentially went out there and felt it. Or it's like if you were lucky enough to get in there with a vet, they'd be like, all right, kid, just listen. One of the greatest matches I had on the indies, which completely opened my eyes up how to work, was wrestling Kid Cash, where he said, hey, what's your finish? And I said, I'll do a DDT. And he goes, all right, what's your hearing like? And I said, yeah, really good. And he goes, all right, just listen to me. 40 minutes later, we got to the DDT, and it was one of the greatest matches and greatest learning moments of my life. And that's when I realized, wow, there is so much more to being a pro wrestler than we're going to do this, then we're going to do that, then we're going to do this, then we're going to do that.
Right.
A lot of the stuff, the way especially on TV, a lot of the stuff we just, well, what's your break spot? Oh, we got this. Well, what are you doing before that? We don't know. It was just a lot we did because we can work. And I feel sorry for the guys that don't have that ability, and they have to, okay, we're going to lock up, then we're going to take a head, then he's going to push me to the ropes, then he's going to break because the ref's going to step it. I'd forget it. I would absolutely forget.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Props to the guys that came through the performance center and are doing well now through that whole time period without having a crowd to listen to, like fair play to them, because I'd have been like, yeah, I'm good. See you later. Anyway, so I'm booked on, again, kind of weird. I'm booked on a PC Live in front of no one, having just come off shoulder surgery, but I was like, I'll be all right. As much as I want to, I'm not going to bury him. But I ended up working a guy who's had the rocket strapped to his ass, and he managed to break my collarbone on the shoulder that I just had repaired.
Oh, no.
That effectively ended my wrestling career for WWE, because in not so many words, I was told to, but he didn't do it though, right? Okay.
Oh, so they told you that.
My fault. Yeah. Okay. I was like, okay, whatever. Wow. So then everything that can then go wrong with a collarbone break went wrong. It got infected.
Murphy's Law.
It got infected. Then the original procedure was compromised. So they had to take the plate out, clean it out, go back in, fix the original procedure, come back, put the plate on it, see how it's doing, everything like that. So in that time, I got pulled in the office and told that, hey, you're too old for TV, so we're going to make you a coach. Your active in-ring wrestling career is dead. Wow. And I'm like, well, I'm pretty sure I'm younger than all the guys on the main roster. Doesn't matter. Do you want to be a coach? Well, I've got to pay the bills somehow, right?
Right.
So I'm a coach. At that point in time, Oney then got let go. Ton of guys got let go. And then as of December, I went back in to the surgeon, and my collarbone wasn't healing. So we were going to start, I can't remember what the treatment is, but they would start treatment for it on, it's not ultrasound, but it's like an ultrasound machine they use. It's not stem cell, but it was along those lines. It was like, right, we'll do this 2-3 months. This will heal up. You'll be good to go. So I'm like, okay. So I'm like, all right, well, I guess I better start saving these checks, because I'm pretty sure the minute I get cleared, I'm going to get fired. Mm-hmm. And then I end up getting a call January 9th and told that I'm fired. No clearance date. I can't work a regular job, and I can't wrestle. So I got fired in a time period where they knew if I was cleared, I'd have had a really good shot of being hired by somebody else, be it whatever company. So, of course, I got let go while I was exceptionally out of shape, because I hadn't been, I couldn't, because of my shoulder and it wasn't healing, I couldn't work out. I couldn't do anything. So I had ballooned up through, again, trying to keep positive. It's like, hey, your in-ring career is over because you're too old. Pretty sure AJ Styles is 5 years older than me, but okay, I guess this is the pill I'm going to have to swallow. So I got let go. A string of really bad events ended up happening. So I got fired. Come to find out, my ex-wife had been having an affair for 1.5 years. Wow. Took me for a lot of money, without knowing. So I had a drastically low savings account. Well, I had pretty much zero. I ended up homeless for 6 weeks, living in hotels the best as I could, and developed a real bad problem with alcohol. I did the best I could. There was a lot of outbursts from shit. I'm sorry.
You're good. No, man. No, this is your life, man. This is real. Like, please do not. You don't have
There
to
was a lot of
apologize.
outbursts
Feel.
from me online, which, if anyone read it and it offended anyone, I do want to apologize. And if I have offended anyone by anything that I said during that time period, because I honestly don't remember, I just remember a lot of things that I got told that I'd done and said online. Please reach out to me. You know, if there's anything I've done to upset you, I'd love to mend that bridge. And then, you know, I still wasn't cleared. And then June of 2022, I had to go in for my 5th and final shoulder surgery. So just as I was back on my feet and things were looking okay, I got taken back to square one again, where I couldn't work. I had no money coming in and I didn't know what I was going to do. So then eventually they ended up taking a piece of my hip bone out, putting it in my collarbone. They were doing a bone graft. And then it was, you know, this will heal fine now. So I was like, okay, well, at least that's something.
Mhm.
Right.
What I'm about to say now, if anyone is ever in this position, always know there is someone there for you. There is always someone willing to talk. There is someone willing to listen. Do not be afraid to reach out, and do not think that you don't matter or that nobody cares. The year went on, and it, you know, my drinking progressively got worse and worse, to the point I was doing two handles of Jack and half a handle of Fireball a night minimum. And then it all came to a head on Christmas Eve, when I woke up and I had run out. So as all alcoholics do, I had to get my next fix, right? So I
Mhm.
got in an Uber. I went to the liquor store, and then the next thing I remember was I was waking up in a hospital, in the back of an ambulance. I got taken there, and very nicely I managed to blag the fact that I'd sobered up, and one of the nurses let me go. And at the time I was renting a room. I had nobody. I was all alone, and I was staring at a noose.
Oh, no.
And I was about to make a very selfish and a very big mistake, because I saw no way out. Thankfully, I've been friends with someone for a long time, for 10 years. Long time. And after 52 times, I finally picked up the phone. And here we are. She's my angel. She's my shining light. And she saved me. And I thank her every single day, because she has no idea what she did for me. And I can never repay her for what she did for me. And for anyone ever that is that low, for anyone ever that doesn't see a way out, for anybody that ever thinks there is nothing except for that, there's always hope. Reach out.
Yeah.
And I am so happy and proud and honored to say that the lady who called me all those times for me to finally pick up is now my wife. And I am the luckiest man walking this fucking planet, I tell you. Because life would be really bleak and really shitty if it wasn't for her. So, so sorry to completely dive bomb the conversation, but that is an important
You
thing
are.
everyone
No, man,
needs to
this
hear,
is
because
no.
this
I mean,
business has
if
so
there's
many highs, and it does. It has so many highs, but we all don't see the lows that happen behind closed doors. We don't see the wrestling statistics that happen behind closed doors. You know, some do get seen, and you know, you're privileged to get your 3-minute promo video, and then after that, next week you're forgotten about, which I don't agree with. You know, it's the worst thing in the world. And to not be a statistic, and to not be, you know, where I could be, I'm thankful every day. And I say this as a warning to people: treat this business fairly, treat it firmly but fairly, treat it how it treats you. Because if you push too hard, you will get to the point where this business, you will love this business way more than it will love you. I am living proof of that. Twice I shot for my dream, and first time I can say is on me. I can say it's on me first time. Second time, I got fucked by the system, you know? So it's the first thing I'll say is there are lots of TV places out there. So shoot for different places, you know, get your name up, work as many shows as you can. Like, it's not the be all and the end all, you know, that it's, you know, yes, it might be the superpower or whatever the fuck you want to call it. It's not the be all and the end all. It's not, because that place will chew you up and spit you out quicker than a hiccup, and they will have no remorse for you.
You're a number there.
Yep.
Someone's waiting to take your job.
Yep.
You're a number.
You know, you hear of a lot of guys reaching out and, you know, getting help and being sent to rehab and stuff like that. Yeah. I reached out and got told, oh, well, you know, that's not really our problem, you know, because I was desperate. I was absolutely desperate. And that was what I got told. So I was like, oh, there's another knock, you know. So it's, thankfully though, I get cleared December 12th, was it? Yeah, I get cleared December 12th of 2022. And then I had my first match back January 9th for CCW against Ozzy Killmaster.
Yeah.
And then, as we say, the show must go on. And I've been with CCW ever since.
Danny, man. I mean, I had a
I'm sorry.
I had a couple questions. Like, no. Because my question to you was going to be, my next question to you was going to be, I was going to thank you for that. Like, truly, we've never had anybody open up the way you just did. And I think my question to you was going to be, you know, what advice do you have for people? And you answered that along the way. So I want to take this moment to piggyback on something that you said. And to anyone who is listening out there, if there is something bothering you, whatever, listen to Danny. He's proof that all it takes is a couple of kind words and reaching out to somebody to not get you into that place. Yeah. So on that note, Danny, I don't know if I can thank you for the time that you've given us and the scope and the vision that you've let us come behind and see, as well as all of our primos. Like, I can't thank you enough for it. I don't know you like that, but I can't tell you, knowing you the way I have, how proud I am that you were smart enough to take that call to do those things. So, man, I just... you didn't mean to down this, and it's not down, man. This has been absolutely fantastic, Danny. I honestly, bro, I'm touched to a degree that I can't. Like, you have to come back because we have to do this again.
Oh, hell yeah,
I'm sure that there's so much more. But
on that note, I'm sorry, guys.
No. The poignancy of it. I think that's what it needs to be. It needs to be on that note.
My story gets told.
Exactly.
And
that's why it needs to be on that note, Danny.
I'm living proof of what to do. I'm also living proof of what not to do.
But that's why this has to be told, and that's why I think it has to end on this point, because it is the happiest point. Because look where you were, look where you are, and that is the biggest struggle anyone can ever go through, and you've done it. And you, young lady, wow, you are amazing. You are, and I know he tells you on the daily, but from someone who saw you and met you 20 seconds ago, thank you, and thank you for just being the kind of person who takes the time to do that and be there for the people that you care about, and to see that somebody's in that moment and to help pull them out because you see the good. Like, that's a testament to you as well. So I am in general disarray, and I can't, and I'm just going to tell you both, I'm moved, touched, and I'm gonna go upstairs and hug my wife as soon as I can. But Danny, you are a truly, and I say this something, but I mean, you are a testament to the positivity and the good that can come from a business that can be so bad. Yeah. And so, if nobody else has ever told you that, and I'm sure your wife has, man, you did it. You've done it. And you deserve and have the right to hold your head high. Yeah. And with that, I'm going to wish you both the best, because I'm about to break out. So, Danny, please, again, you have to come back. 100%. We have to do this again. Okay, please.
And this time, I know to use the laptop so we can start promptly and 20 minutes after.
Well, see, now we know. See, lessons
I'm on my phone. I'm like, I'm not paying for it. I'm not paying to go.
I told Daddy too. I'm like, you know what? I wouldn't pay that shit either.
I'm actually $1.99, but I'm not paying to fucking pick this link up.
Right, no.
And then when you were like, oh no, it only works on laptops, I'm like, oh fuck, well that'll explain it then, wouldn't it? Literally log on straight away, bomb. Oh, you're in. I'm like, brilliant. This could have been solved 20 minutes ago. I've got just trying the laptop.
By the way, Ariel, so the lovely young lady there, Lane,
Wait.
she is actually one of the best refs out there.
Oh,
Let me tell
word?
you,
Thank you.
she is incredible.
Oh,
Like
shoot.
she
Unless she
knows how to
refs my
work.
matches
It's-
when she's really
Okay, so wait a second.
Oh no,
so,
no,
so
no,
what
no,
I'm
no,
hearing.
no. She's the most biased ref when it comes to me.
I'm the meanest two
She is so and I'm the
Well, I
good
mean,
guy. What's up with that?
Well, I was about to say, I mean, think of it this way. I mean, just do extra shit around the house. Maybe she won't be as biased.
Well, she's allergic
know?
to the dishes though. So,
Throw a
like,
little
I do
laundry
the
in,
dishes
maybe,
and like still not good enough.
That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. Throw some laundry in, do the dishes. Maybe you'll get a little more favor.
No.
No, laundry's not.
I'm just throwing it out there. I don't know.
Come on.
I don't know. At the last Tampa show, she was reffing his match, and I was like, this seems like a little bit of a conflict of interest.
She got some.
I don't know.
I'll just slip
Well,
it off.
next time,
come on, love. I'll make the
next
best.
time we got to sit down with both of
you.
you. Then we got to sit down with both of you next time. Then, because I didn't realize that we were looking at another one. No, absolutely, man. Oh, this has been great. You guys are amazing. Like this
Perfect.
is, man, Danny. You guys are absolutely fantastic. Eddie, you roll because I've been.
I know you need to get yourself together, brother. But Danny, now this is the part of the show where we want to give you the time to be able to let our listeners, our primos, know where to find you, where they could see your matches, where they could, reach out and talk to you. And then, I mean, honestly, at this point, with so much that you've shared about your life experience, I mean, if reaching out is all it takes, I'm sure, I mean, I hope no one else is going through this, but if anyone is going through anything similar, where they could reach out to you, they could speak to you in regards to handling situations like this and, best course of actions, what to do. Please, the floor is yours. Let the people know where they could reach out to you, where they could find you, where they could see you.
So the best way of contacting me is going to be on X or Instagram, and it's both the same handles, which is @StrongStyleBrit. Both profiles are open, so they're not set to private or anything like that. I also have for any aspiring wrestlers or more so to say for currently active wrestlers, I do offer skull sessions, which is send me a match. We'll get on a Zoom chat, and then literally I'll break it down for however long it takes. It's only $25. I don't charge a lot because I'm not. Again, I was always told to leave the business better than I found it, and if there's anything I can do to impart and just have the light bulbs go off in someone's head, where I got told by my mentors and coaches and then working matches, and then that light bulb went off in my head and I'm like, oh shit. If I can help anyone with that kind of moment for them, then that's worth more than any money in the world. So that, and then that is going to be through my email address, which is @StrongStyleHooligan. And then obviously in the header note, just put skull sessions, introduce yourselves, stuff like that. And then obviously we can set up a line of communication if you want to do it. And again, I offer it, it's $25 for the first session. And then the price does drop after that. And this is the reason why I want people to do it in an email. I've had too many people hit me up and like, I can do it through Facebook. No, I want it through email so that there's a communication thread there, so I know who's hit me up and who's done stuff and everything like that. And again, that's not, again, you can do one session and then be like, yeah, that was great. Never have to hear from you again. No hard feelings. But again, if you do, 6 months down the line, like, oh shit, well, I did this match and I worked on this and stuff like that. Yeah, maybe I can hit them up again. And again, I'm not insulted if people do it and, if they don't want to learn from it, or if people don't hit me up about that, I'm not going to be offended because it's $25. Most people that offer this type of stuff, you're looking at like $150 for an hour, and mine is as long as it takes to break the match down. So if a 20-minute match takes 2 hours, then it takes 2 hours. There's no time limit or anything like that. But in terms,
and it's a wrestler friendly price at $25. It's very wrestler friendly.
It's tough on the indies, man. Like especially when you get guys that are hustling and they're grinding, and they might work a part-time job where they're working like 10, 15 hours a week like that just to, just so something's coming in. It's tough.
Right.
And then guys have got to hustle and, sell shirts and stuff like that. I get it. Florida is not the most lucrative state for wrestling, which kind of baffles me because the amount of talent here sometimes. But for whatever reason, but again, for every 10 guys that are great, you get 20 guys that are absolute shit. And that's because they're guys that just haven't been trained properly, that have moved from other states and, I'm a wrestler now because I got kicked out of their school, but now I can wrestle. So, it's just the indies. It's just unfortunate, Florida has such a great history of wrestling, when you go back to like the old days of when FCW was like back in the 80s and stuff like that. It was the territory, and that's the great thing about CCW is they're trying to keep that alive. Which is why I absolutely love working for that place. But to go back to, reaching out to, way more important stuff, I didn't know where to reach out to. Maybe it was stubbornness and just, it wasn't even stubbornness. I know it was, I remember speaking to my family and without saying it, I basically said my goodbyes. Because I just didn't want to burden anyone with my problems, Oh, what? You're just a wrestler that got hurt and you can't fucking wrestle at the moment. Like, get over it. Like, there was so much more that went into it than that, and that's unfortunately all that everyone saw on the outside. But in terms of reaching out, I know that, there's, you can go on Google and, I don't know the names of the sites or the numbers or anything like that.
I'm looking one up right now. 988 Lifeline. There's a bunch. Like,
I'm very lucky that I never had to make that call. I had someone save me, and I can only hope that anyone in my position has that and doesn't have to. Obviously, I know that there's tons of lines out there, but if my story helps someone through something like that, if my story helps a wrestler get over the hump of, man, this is a grind, it's not going to happen. Like, if my story just hits one person for the better, then that's great with me. I'm not, that's all it takes, but just know there is always hope, no matter how thick the trees seems are in the forest and stuff like that. There is always hope, and there will always be a light at the end of the tunnel.
Yeah, my man. Yeah. Danny.
And then Danny, like final thoughts on this, and just to kind of wrap this up and end it on a slightly better note or higher note. You made a comment earlier about you didn't understand why the fans were behind you so much. But us as fans,
I think we just learned why.
Well, right. No, but Danny, you're the work that you do in the ring, the fans can tell when somebody's full of crap or not. And you, everything you do in that ring, because I recall those matches in NXT and even recently, everything that I've seen of you of late, you're full of heart, man. You pour it all for the fans. And like you said, whether it's tens of thousands of people in an arena or a couple of hundred people at a brewery, you give it your all because the fans can see that. And that's what we love about you. And that's what we love, and to come to these shows to see people like you, because you really give it your all. And you don't have to, but you do. And that's what makes you an amazing superstar. And that's what makes you an amazing talent. And this is why I come out and support people like you, Cha-Cha, the guys that really do it just for the pure love of the sport and not giving a crap about what anyone says or what anybody thinks. You guys are incredible. And I just want you to know, on behalf of the Primos, from Primos for Life, you have a home here. We love you. You're family now. You're a Primo now. Whatever you need, brother, we are here. We're gonna do whatever we can to, get more eyes on you.
Support, help, all of it.
Everything, man. You got a place here with us, my man.
Yeah, man.
Thank you so much.
You're locked.
That really means a lot.
You're locked, brother.
Thank you.
You're locked.
Yeah, man.
Danny, we can't once again begin to thank you for your time and more importantly your candor and your openness about everything. And to your point, I'm going to say it again, even though I've said it numerous times before. There's help, please. If something happens, to Danny's point, there is somebody available. You can Google it, you can find it. If you need to contact us here or Danny or something like that, hey, do so. you know. But there's help. So please don't let that be the road you need to go down. Danny's a testament to the good that can happen when you just don't. So, Danny, thank you once again, man, and wholeheartedly,
Guys,
man.
thank you.
I'm
This has
so
been-
glad that
This
call
has
was
been an
answered.
absolute pleasure, and it's
Tars.
thank you.
Tars.
Thank you so much.
Yeah. No, and you're coming back
Oh
because
hell
we
yeah!
have
No, I want to come back.
a
because
whole bunch of
we
other
have-
questions
we got a
that
bunch
we
of
gotta get
questions
through.
now, which is going to be
Bunch
even
of
better.
questions.
Yeah.
We got a bunch of questions we still got to get through.
Honestly, with how
yes.
welcome you made me feel and getting through the questions, I hadn't planned to go into this, but with how welcome you had made me feel and how we were going with this, I felt comfortable enough to say that, and my story does need to be said. It needs to be told because,
It does need
as
to
I
be told,
said,
yeah.
it's a how to and a how not to, you know. So it's. I do feel that some wrestler out there has been in my position and didn't get help, you know. So
Yeah.
there's been a lot of the fallen lads, you know, that just didn't get that. So I was lucky I did.
Yeah.
We're
Yeah.
grateful that you did.
Yeah, man.
We're grateful.
Danny, you are the man. We love you. I will be there probably in the next couple of shows. Actually, I'm going to be all over the place because I'm trying to, get our name out there as well.
We got a
Get
network.
this
We got a
going,
network.
yeah.
But best believe, Danny, I will be there to support you. I will be there to root you on, and I will be the one screaming, Danny Briggs, man.
And
Hell
feel free,
yeah, my
feel free
man.
to yell back at him.
Thank
Make
you
sure you
so
yell back at him in the ring.
Yeah. And throw me, you could use me, bro. Like, throw me in the ring. I'll be a prop. Just, you know what I mean? I'm there, bro. I'm team Danny all the way, man.
Thank you
I
so
got you,
much,
brother.
gents. Good pair of lads.
Daddy,
Love
you take care. You have
too.
yourself a
Thank you.
wonderful
Easy,
night,
gents.
man.
Thank you so
man.
much for this. I
Bless
really
you and the
appreciate
wife,
it.
brother.
Take it
Peace,
easy.
be easy, bro.
See ya.
Take care, bro.
Bye.
Bye. Whew. Wow.
That took a left.
Yes.
That's a hard left.
But here's the reality of it, Primo. At the end of the day, as much as we love the sport, as much as we love the people in it and the sacrifices, and we hear we hear the good, we hear the fun, we hear the motivating, but sometimes these conversations are going to get real,
And they have to happen.
and they have to happen.
Yeah.
And it really warms my heart to know that Danny was able to, he don't know us from a hole in the wall. You know what I mean? And for him to be able to sit here and open up the way that he did,
Bro, he choked back tears like 5 times.
yeah. And the fact that he felt comfortable with us to share his story. I mean, I can't, honestly, I'm my emotions, I'm doing my best to control it.
Yeah.
But
It's a
I
lot.
can't wait to have Danny back on because there's so much more to this story. We got a veteran in the game over 25 years. We barely scratched the surface, and I'm looking forward to the next conversation.
Absolutely. I can't wait.
And what an amazing person. And I'm at a loss for words, man. I don't know what else to say.
Well, I mean, there's not much more to say because, to your point, like you said, we love the industry, we love the people. And a lot of times, when wrestling gets brought up, I think a lot of people forget about the actual individuals and the human that exists in those bodies of these athletes, that there is the ups and the downs and the emotions and the addictions and, whether it's alcohol, drugs, whatever, I mean, it's a sickness. It's a real sickness, and it's something that needs to be tended to. And if you don't, God forbid you see what kind of road you can go down. Now, luckily for us and everyone in Danny's life, it didn't go down that road.
Yeah.
But it's something that, you wouldn't be surprised hearing that happen to a couple different people, just because of the way they're treated. I mean, Danny's he said it. His story's about how to and how not to. And next time we speak to him, like, I want to ask him, like, because he was given that advice, like what not to do, like what do you tell people not to do? And he kind of, touched it for a little bit, but there's so much more to this man and these pieces and all of these wrestlers that I think a lot of people, once again, don't understand. And I think it's the reason you and I do this, is to bring the humanness back to the people that you see.
Yeah.
And if that doesn't bring you back to a human point, I don't know what will, because this is a matter truly not hyperbolic of life and death.
Yeah.
And luckily this one came out on the good side.
Yeah. You're right. And to sit here and think and say to ourselves, we all go through rough moments and rough patches, and you're right. I mean, if it wasn't for Lane reaching out and him finally picking up the phone, I mean, it's not just about reaching out, it's also about accepting
Yep.
and taking the call. I mean, he said what, 32 times? Like
50.
yeah,
50
times.
times.
Right. And what an amazing story. What an amazing way for him to come out the other side of it.
Man.
And like you said, I can't wait for the next conversation with Danny because he is truly an amazing person, has an amazing story. And I'm telling you, the moment that I see both of them at the next show, I'm just gonna run up to them and just
You
give them
hug the shit out of them.
yes,
You hug the shit out of
all
both of them.
yes,
And you make sure you throw a little extra from me in there.
yeah, yeah, man,
Because I have please do
yeah,
that. And then just say this is from Ariel and just an
yeah,
extra little nudge right there.
yeah, man.
Please.
Wow, like bueno primo.
Yeah, man. This is
Yeah.
it's truly taking us back because I think I looked the other day and it was like episode 50 whatever 50 something episodes ago, January. No one would have ever thought you and I'd be sitting here damn near in tears with an ex-WWE superstar talking about life and death matters, and yet here we are. And a lot of that is because we have primos and listeners and family. And to everybody, especially now with this episode that just happened, the thanks that we want to give you is just unbound because all the things that happen in life, all the things that could, interfere and do this and that. And you guys still take the time to give us a half hour, 45 minutes a day, a week, whatever you do to show love and support. And that's something that we can't ever thank you for properly, but we can try to show you just how grateful we are every week. And I think that's what we're trying to do. And I hope we're doing a good job.
Yeah.
And on that note, I'm going to say it myself and just say, gracias por todo, familia. Like, thank you. Don't forget, it's never that real. There's always a call you can make. We'll see you when we see you. Good night.
We'll see you when we see you. Take care, everyone.